Greetings, my saplings. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the Jordan 1 Crystal Chicago, also known as the Spider-Verse Jordan 1 origin story. To be specific, like always in today's video, we are going to be discussing some release info and some background information for the sneaker, how to cop the sneaker, of course, and finally, like always, some resale predictions. Like always, we'll be kicking it off with the background information, but I completely understand that some of you guys are only here for the how to cop, so for you guys, feel free to skip to this portion of the video, but for the rest of you, let's jump right into this. If you couldn't tell by now, these sneakers derive from the new Spider-Man Origins movie, Into the Spider-Verse. In the film, the protagonist Miles rocks these things for one specific reason. The Crystal Chicago 1, or Origin Story 1, defies what a normal Chicago 1 is meant to look like. It has an icy, translucent outsole, three-dimensional pattern on the upper, a blue insole, and even a blue Nike tag. Now, when it comes to the protagonist Miles, he wears this iteration because he himself defies odds and defies normal. And just like the mask, guys, everyone can wear these. This pair will drop December 14th for $160, grade school for $120, and also toddler and preschool sizes. The current stock right now is $180K, and we'll talk about why this is still okay when we get to the resale predictions portion of the video, but as of now, let's jump into how to cop these things. So the first thing you guys are definitely going to need to do, and you can actually start this right now, is sign up on all the foot apps. For example, Foot Action, Foot Locker, and Champs. Now, I've mentioned this a couple of times. To increase your chances, you're going to want to get that extra minute head start. To get this, you obviously have to check in at a store, but you don't actually have to do this. You could do this from home, and you can do this by following FTL codes. Essentially, what they do is they tweet out a bunch of other codes that people give to them. You will have to change your zip code temporarily. Then go to check-in now, and you click can't use Bluetooth. Click here, you click that, and you fill in the 4-digit PIN number. After that, you want to make sure that you go back and set your location back to where you want it. I've made the mistake of forgetting to do that a couple of times, and I've regretted it. But anyway, the instructions are on their Twitter. I think this is a very efficient way to get the shoes, but not only this, there are also going to be lots of leftovers when it comes to these. A lot of times, people don't always pick up their reservations, so for this reason, what a lot of Foot Lockers, Champs, and Foot Actions will do in the morning at around 8 o'clock, they will give out tickets for people to come back at 3 o'clock, because that is the deadline for reservations, and it is 3 o'clock local time. And then some Foot Lockers, Foot Actions, and Champs will do it in a manner where they say, just line up outside the store and you essentially have to wait there all day. Of course, you don't have to do this. It just depends how close you want to be to the front of the line. When it comes to these shoes, you shouldn't really have to wait too long. But anyway, moving on, there will of course be numerous raffles that will be hosting these. For example, we have sneakers and stuff, and already end clothing. I've mentioned multiple times how to make multiple entries into these raffles, but I just wanted to give you guys an update and a more efficient way to doing this when it comes to prepaid raffles. So I've mentioned before to use privacy.com, but one disadvantage for privacy.com, for each individual credit card that you use, you can only make 8 different numbers. However, there is another app that does this just like privacy.com, and that is the Token app. I highly recommend you download this app. It is free. Basically, you're able to make unlimited amounts of credit cards that you could enter into all of these raffles. You could even use it to make multiple different Nike accounts, because honestly, I like to play it safe and use different credit cards for each account. It's something that I find really useful. Now, obviously, when it comes to these raffles, it really all has to do with how much time you're willing to put into these. Anyway, of course, there's going to be many raffles when it comes to these. I will tweet out a raffle list. My Twitter is KeithAdam10. But moving on, there's going to be a lot of 3 a.m. Eastern Time releases happening overseas, and most of these do also ship to the United States. So far, Soulbox has loaded up the grade school product page. And of course, when it comes to these, before the drop, I will make a site list for you guys on my Twitter. But as of now, you should expect sites such as Foot Patrol and even the Offspring to drop at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. But then moving on to 10 a.m. Eastern Time for US only, we will see Kicks USA, for example, doing a queue for these. We'll usually open up a little bit before that. And the same exact thing goes for Finish Line, which will also open up a little bit before 10 a.m. Eastern Time, both of which are queues. You can feel free to use the multiple people jig for these, but I do want to warn you that they do track IP addresses, so you do run the risk of getting temporarily IP banned. Then the Shoe Palace will allow you to continue to try to add to cart. And finally, Shop Nice Kicks will be sold out before 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And that's it for now, but of course, more will most most likely pop up. I'll be making a site list for you guys, and also if there's any updates or whatever, feel free to turn on post notifications and subscribe to stay 100% updated. And then of course we also have Nike sneakers. Like always, for 4 a.m. Eastern time, Europe will be dropping these on Nike sneakers, and then for US it will be 10 a.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a Leo drop, not a draw. So your primary goal right here should be to try and purchase on as many accounts as possible within a 1 to 2 minute time window. Again, I must remind you guys that more than 3 accounts on the same IP address can get you temporarily IP banned. And finally, for Nike sneakers, there should also be a Nike sneakers pass for New York City and Chicago on the 13th at around noon. Moving on to some resale predictions. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, stock is around 180,000, and yeah, that's a massive number, especially for a Jordan 1. We thought the Rookie of the Years were a lot because those were hovering around 120,000. But you guys must keep in mind that it's not just supply, it's also demand. And when it comes to these sneakers, demand is quite high, and let me explain why. First of all, this is a collaboration with Marvel. Second of all, of course, it's a Jordan 1. And third of all, it's very reminiscent of the Chicago Jordan 1 colorway. For this reason, I would say that they're still going to be profitable. For instance, the Concords had around 1 million pairs, but of course, the demand made up for it. These were classified as an iconic shoe, which makes sense, and they haven't dropped since 2011, hence demand was so high. And even with all this crazy stock, you're still able to make a couple of bucks off of them. So I urge you guys not to sleep on these sneakers, but I would also like to mention to you guys that sizes under 10 will be the most profitable. Not to mention grade school sizes will have an even better profit margin, specifically because the retail is only 120 compared to 160. But of course, sizes over 10 will probably still be profitable. It's just a very small amount in comparison to sizes under 10 at least. If you're in a vicinity with low tax or no tax, I would definitely recommend going for these, especially if you usually take a more conservative approach where you'd rather cop something rather than nothing. But for you guys who are a little more aggressive, you're going to want to stick to sizes under 10 and even those grade school sizes. With that though, I'm going to conclude today's video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video or if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Also, subscribe and turn on post notifications to stay 100% updated on these shoes and really any shoe that's releasing in the future. With that, I'll see you guys later. Good luck, of course, and have a fantastic rest of your day.
I don't want to talk. Get your foot off my foot. Ah.
Get your foot off my foot. Yeah.
Why are you always in my way, knocking me over every single day? Get your foot off my foot. Ah.
Get your foot off my foot. Yeah.
I should have run the other way. Now there's just one thing to say. Get your foot off my foot. Ah.